worker. And by the term worker, as you all know, we include the whole range of people who are engaged directly or indirectly, wholly, exclusively, or partly indirectly in the entire production process. And that way, the productivity of any worker will depend on his or her health, physical as well as mental. We expect a worker to be fully productive, going by any definition of productivity that we may ultimately accept, only if the worker, he or she, is in good health, both physically and mentally. Both the aspects of health really have a very important impact on his or her productivity. And if we take into account the important aspect of health of a worker, let us try to also appreciate the fact that the health of a worker will depend on two categories of factors. One category linked up with the worker himself or herself, along with those who are close to him or may not be that close, namely members of his or her family, members of the society to which he or she belongs, or even the environment in which he or she lives. That is one set of factors over which some sort of a control can be exercised by the worker himself or herself and by his or her close associates. Like talking of the worker himself or herself, to some extent, as you all know, the worker's health, at least physical and to an extent mental, will depend on his or her habits, food habits, work habits, exercise habits, and other habits. It will definitely be affected by certain habits maintained by his close associates, as also in the society at large. But as a distinct category of factors affecting the worker's physical and mental health will be the work life. I mean, the set of factors which operate not within the house, not within the family, not within the society, but at the workplace. So unless and until the factors which are laid out in the workplace, which are meant to be ultimately consumed or enjoyed by the worker, they are conducive to productivity in the sense that they take good care to ensure good health, physical and mental, of the worker. We cannot expect the worker to be fully productive. And herein lies the policy of the workplace, the policy of the people who manage the workplace. I have seen two extremes. I have seen situations where instead of investing in conveniences, in comforts, in amenities, in basic amenities even, so that workers engaged in a workplace can find a conducive environment and can become fully or at least near fully productive. I have seen investors, I mean executives, who invest money in appointing a class of people called progress chasers, pushers. These are people who do not work by themselves. They are after the other workers to see that they are not idle, that they work constantly, howsoever they work. I've even gone to an industry in Calcutta, in an outskirt of Calcutta, close to the residence of my former colleague, late Dr. Amitabh Lahiri, where I found I was trying to talk to a particular foreman. He was not understanding me. He was not replying to me. The manager came and told me, "Sir, he has become deaf." I said, "How?" This was a very noisy environment, a mechanical manufacturing unit. The noise is so loud that having worked for about 15, 20 years in that particular noisy environment, that worker has lost his speech, I'm sorry, his hearing ability to an extent that he cannot understand me. Even then, the workplace manager doesn't bother to, to lessen the impact of noise on the health of the worker. On the other hand, during my first visit to Japan, way back in 1969, I had been to Konishiraku Photo Industry, which would produce Konica and Yashica cameras. Not a large manufacturing unit located entirely in a two-storied building, fully humidified, and on the ground floor I could see workers who were comparable in terms of the work they were doing to the same type of work I have seen much earlier being done by workmen